room tonight. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Sarah. I work at the University of Newcastle with Robin at the Research Centre for Physical Activity and Nutrition. My main research interests are the effects of exercise in clinical populations, and particularly the effects of exercise on the brain. So obviously that fits in very well with stroke. My PhD looked at how if you do cycling with your legs, it can actually improve the recovery of your arm after stroke. Okay, and that's all to do with the effects of the exercise on the brain itself. So Robin's just given you a bit of an intro into why you should be exercising. And I know I can see around the room, they're like, yeah, well, it's easier said than done, yeah? So you start thinking of barriers, you know, oh, what dangerous, and, you know, oh, I might die, or I might have a heart attack. But as Robin pointed out, even in cardiac rehab, people are encouraged to exercise. That's like the first thing that they get them to do. So I don't treat people who've had a stroke any different to anyone else, okay? The same way we should all be doing exercise 3 to 5 times a week, and we should do it for around 20 to 60 minutes when we do it. It doesn't all have to be at once, as Robin mentioned. You can do little bursts, little intervals. But when you do it, you should try and do it at a level that's somewhat hard. So what we call the huff and puff. You know, makes you a little bit breathless, okay? Some of my participants will be very, very familiar with that. So obviously what's somewhat hard, or what makes one person huff and puff, isn't necessarily what's somewhat hard for another person, okay? And that all comes down to the principle of relativity, okay? And I don't mean the kind of rocket science kind of stuff. What I mean is this. So Steve Solomon here, just last month at the Commonwealth Games, he managed to do a lap of the oval in 45 seconds, and given us the Commonwealth Games, I think it's fair to say it was probably at 100% of his max ability, okay? So for him, 100% is 45 seconds, half of his ability, probably about 90 seconds, whereas for me, it probably takes me 90 seconds just to do one lap, and that's my 100%, okay? So half of my ability is about, 180 seconds, okay? So what takes Steve to huff and puff is something that's probably not even possible for me to do, okay? But I don't care about Steve, you know, that doesn't matter. I'm running my own race, the same with everyone, okay? So what is my huff and puff is the same as someone else's huff and puff. It's what makes you do it is different. As long as you're huffing and puffing, that's what's important. So you don't need to worry about anyone else. That's the take-home message. Everyone should be able to exercise to a level that can make them huff and puff. As Robin mentioned, we have had a group of people in the lab who are primarily wheelchair dependent, and I promise you, they can huff and puff just as good as anyone else, okay? And actually, they improve their fitness just as much as the people who have had strokes and were able to walk, okay? So they have the same ability to improve their fitness. So when we're talking about huff and puff, this is the kind of stuff we're talking about. We're talking about cycling or running on a treadmill. So as I said, aiming for 20 to 60 minutes, 3 to 5 times a week, either altogether or in little bursts, okay? And I know you're thinking, oh, that's my foot falls out of the pedal, or I might fall on the treadmill. And yes, in our lab, we do have some specialist equipment, okay? So our treadmill, we have a harness so you can't fall, okay? We have steppers, we have these little cycles that you can put them on a table, you can move them with your arms, with your feet, and then, but actually our preferred method of exercise after stroke is cycling, okay? It's very safe, and you can use your good leg to try and turn the pedals a bit more and help your weaker leg along. And at home, this is something you can readily kind of invest in. It's safe, it's effective, it's really, really good for your cardiovascular health, as well as all the other benefits Robin mentioned. Quite affordable, so I don't actually work for Aldi, but a lot of what I'm going to mention today is, I give good examples on the Aldi. So, you know, Aldi and the reason I picked this is actually because of some of the features it has. So 180 bucks is pretty affordable. You can adjust the seat height, so if you do think you want to buy one of these, make sure it's one that you can adjust the seat height on. Another thing is the low entry level. So as you can see here, you can actually step through sideways through the bike to get on the saddle. You don't have to stand like a normal road bike and swing your leg over. Because if you've got a bit of balance issues, that's tricky, right? So you want to be able to have a low entry that you can step through, be able to adjust the height. And then Aldi also, just recently, the other week, had one of these little cycle machines in, and you can use that for your feet or for your hands as well, okay? So, and for clinicians in the room as well, with the hand cycling, just be careful if someone has high blood pressure, or if you've been told you have high blood pressure, just be careful with that one. But again, 30 bucks, 40 bucks rather, it's super affordable. And I know you're thinking, oh, but the feet are going to follow the pedals. So in the lab, I went and got some of these specialist pedals. They cost a couple of $100, and when I brought them in for the participant at the time, her husband actually laughed at me when I said how much they were. And a lot of you will actually look at them and think, yeah, they look like sandals. And he said, why did you not just go to Kmart and get some sandals? And I thought he was joking, but actually what he'd done was previously for his wife, got a pair of sandals from Kmart and screwed them onto the pedals of the bike at home so that she could simply in her socks, strap her feet into the sandals and then turn the pedals without having to worry about her feet falling out. So these are the kind of ideas that people come up with. None of these ideas are actually my own. These have all these ideas have come from what I call the experts in the field, and I don't mean myself, I don't mean Robin, and I don't mean Jill. I mean you guys that have had the strokes. You have come up with these ideas, ways around and over and through these barriers. So these are all, none of these are my ideas. One alternative, if you don't want to get out your DIY kit, a lot of different brands are now actually developing sandals that have little clip-in soles that you can clip into your shoes. You can get ones that look more like day-to-day footwear. I know Jill has a pair that she wears every now and again when she cycles in and out to work. And then you just clip them in on your bike and away you go. Okay? Where you go from there, the opportunities are endless. Okay? If you're still worried about your cognition or your balance, tandem cycling is a really great, fun, sociable way to get out and about. Okay? It's all about thinking outside the box. I believe you had the guys from Metro Cycles here earlier today. They're based in town and they can actually custom build a bike for you. So if you are worried about balance, a trike is another alternative. And then maybe if one hand isn't as good as the other, they can actually move all the gears and brakes onto one side of the handlebars for you. If you think you can't manage up the hill, they can put an electric assisted motor on it. Okay, so there really, really are so many options available. A new phenomenon are pedaled wheelchairs. Okay, one of these, I think at the minute they're about the latest I've seen is about $4,000. So yes, it's quite a whack of money, but this is a great way to give you back your independence and get out and about. You can also put a basket on, pop the shopping in the back. Okay, and I know you heard from Ray earlier today about how he gets out and about. So these really, really are the ways over and around all these obstacles. Okay, and I know there's one of these pedaled wheelchairs out and about in Mayfield, so look out. Another type of exercise I just quickly want to touch on because it's really something that shouldn't be ignored is resistance training. So some people call it strength training. And I know you think, oh yeah, I feel weaker, but one of the other reasons, not just your strength, that you should do resistance training is because it has really good cardio-metabolic effects. So it also has kind of hormonal effects, okay, for your blood system, and it can help with diabetes and a range of different other things, okay, so as well as your strength. So ideally we should be doing this 2 or 3 times a week, and we should be doing maybe 10 repetitions, so 10 goes at about 10 different exercises, and it should be at a point that the last one, the 10th one, is really hard, like quite hard, that you can just about do it. And I know you think, you think of daunting big gym equipment and bodybuilders and it's really intimidating, but actually, once you get someone to show you how to do it, it's not that bad. I still remember my first time going to a gym, and I don't know, I'm hooked now on exercise, but I was terrified going to a gym for the first time. Gym equipment as well is really safe in that you can't actually drop a weight on your fingers or on your toes, things like that. But if you do want to use free weights like little dumbbells, they're great for at home, they're really cheap, really versatile. Personally, my favorite are resistance bands. Okay, so I have a few of these here. They come in all different sizes and shapes. So all different sizes and shapes, thicknesses, so the thicker the harder it is. And you can pull them apart, you can push them away from you. They're very, very versatile. $4 from Aldi. These are what I use myself. So there's loads and loads of different ways to do it. You can also just use your body weight, okay? And even if you can't do a push-up, you can do it against a wall to get started with. You can do it with one hand against a wall. You can do sit to stand, mini squats. All of these things all count as resistance training, and I know Paul after me is going to talk a little bit more about this kind of stuff. So I'm just going to leave you with a really great success story, an inspirational success story. One of my collaborators in the UK, Tom Balchin. So this fellow had a stroke about 10 to 12 years ago, and for months after he couldn't even sit up in bed. Now he can deadlift, so he can pick up 200 kilograms, okay? And he actually says that now his stroke side is stronger than his dominant side, and that's all through strength training. So he is quite a unique success story. He's actually made a self-help book. So I have that today, so if anyone wants to come and have a flick through it afterwards, take note of it in case you want to have a look at it. It's available to order on the internet. And he has helped many, many hundreds of other people. And he's actually founded his own charity. And his method is got quite a bit of success to the point that now universities in the UK are actually doing randomized controlled trials on these interventions. So, food for thought. Otherwise, if you're thinking, okay, this is all really great stuff, but where do I start? This is so much stuff in a matter of minutes. You need to look and get an accredited exercise physiologist. That will be your best starting point. So if you simply Google ESSA, so E-S-S-A, find AEP, so accredited exercise physiologist, they will actually give you a list of you putting your postcode, your suburb, it will give you a list of all the local accredited exercise physiologists. And you're thinking, what is an exercise physiologist? An exercise physiologist is an allied health professional who specialize in using exercise to prevent, manage, and treat complex medical conditions. Okay, so it's not a personal trainer. You can become a personal trainer in 6 weeks or a few months. An exercise physiologist has gone to university for 4 years. They're accredited with a national body. They have Medicare provider numbers. Okay, so you're getting where I'm coming from. Personal trainers can only work with low risk. Exercise physiologists can work with high risk. So that's the difference. I'm going to leave that up there so you guys can take it down. As I said, I'm going to be around afterwards. I know you're all tired. I will hang around till the end and stay around after if anyone wants to ask questions. Have a look at this book, and I do have some handouts if there's any clinicians in the room on exercising after stroke as well. So I'll leave it there. Thank you.